Welcome to this explainer. We've got something pretty incredible lined up today. We're going to unpack the entire Class 10 science curriculum. Think of it like taking this heavy, kind of intimidating study capsule and transforming it into a structured, fascinating roadmap of exactly how the universe works. If you've ever wanted a unified blueprint of reality, from the chemicals reacting inside a simple battery to the biology of your own heartbeat, you are absolutely in the right place. Our whole journey today is guided by the official 2025 to 2026 KVS study capsule. This thing is an amazing manual, meticulously put together by expert educators. It's definitely not just some dry list of topics, it's a curated guide built to help you truly master foundational science. So we're going to extract the absolute best insights from this document and lay them out visually so you can see exactly how it all connects. Let's zoom out for a macro view first. Looking at the 80-mark theory distribution, a super clear strategy jumps right out. The curriculum heavily prioritizes chemistry and biology, giving them 25 marks each. That is more than half your score right there. After that comes physics, split into effects of current at 13 marks and natural phenomena at 12, and then ecology and natural resources rounding it all out with 5 marks. This literally shows you exactly where you need to focus your energy for maximum impact. Here's our agenda for this explainer. We've got this organized to take us logically from the microscopic building blocks of matter, up through living organisms, out into the macroscopic laws of physics, and then finally into the ecosystem as a whole. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the blueprint. Because before we dive into the science itself, we really need to understand how we're being evaluated on it. The crucial point here is the balance. Out of a grand total of 100 marks, 80 are dedicated to testing your theoretical understanding, your ability to explain and analyze concepts. But those remaining 20 internal marks, those are there to prove your practical, hands-on scientific skills. Because science isn't just about reading a textbook, it's about doing. And this blueprint strictly enforces that balance. With that structure crystal clear, let's move right into Section 2, Chemistry, where we'll look at the literal building blocks of reality. Check out how logically Unit I categorizes all matter. It kicks off with basic chemical reactions, how things combine, how they displace each other, and whether they release heat. From there, we categorize substances using the pH scale to understand acids, bases, and salts in our everyday lives, like bleaching powder or baking soda. Then it scales up to the reactivity of metals and the mechanics of corrosion, before finally unlocking carbon compounds, those incredibly versatile covalent bonds that form the foundation of literally all organic life. So, knowing what those chemical elements are actually made of, let's slide into Section 3, Biology, and see how those very same chemicals come alive. It's a pretty profound question when you stop to think about it. We throw the word life around all the time, but scientifically speaking, what actually defines a living being? The curriculum points out that maintaining life requires specific, observable processes. How do basic, almost mechanical concepts like nutrition, respiration, transport, and excretion separate a living, breathing organism from, say, a non-living rock? Well, it all starts with fuel. At the most basic level of survival, organisms basically split into two camps for their nutrition. On one side, you've got autotrophic nutrition. These organisms, like plants, take in simple inorganic materials and use an external energy source, mostly the sun, to synthesize complex, high-energy organic material. On the flip side, we have heterotrophic nutrition, which is exactly what we do. This means taking in complex materials that have already been prepared by other organisms. We're literally consuming the energy that others have captured. Now, what's really fascinating here is what happens after you get that food. Notice how respiration is highlighted. During this process, complex organic compounds, like glucose, are broken down to provide energy. And this energy isn't just floating around randomly. It gets packaged into ATP. Think of ATP as the fundamental energy currency for all the other reactions happening in a cell. Whether it's aerobic respiration using oxygen or anaerobic without it, this is the exact process that keeps your cellular machinery running. In us humans, this heterotrophic journey of food is incredibly structured. First, food is ingested. Then it's systematically broken down by various enzymes as it travels along the alimentary canal. Once it's broken down into its absolute smallest components, that digested food is finally absorbed in the small intestine, only to be shipped out via the circulatory system to every single cell in your body. Let's zoom in a bit to see exactly how that absorption happens. This diagram highlights a section of the small intestine, specifically the villi.
These are tiny, finger-like projections lining the intestine, and they brilliantly increase the surface area to absolutely maximize nutrient absorption into your blood capillaries. It is just an elegant feat of biological engineering, making sure zero energy is wasted.
But hey, animals aren't the only ones with sophisticated transport systems. Let's see how this plays out in the plant kingdom. Highly differentiated plants use specific vascular tissues. The xylem acts like a pipeline, transporting water and minerals up from the soil, while the phloem distributes the food synthesized up in the leaves. And when it comes to getting rid of waste, plants have some pretty unique strategies. They store waste in cell vacuoles, they accumulate it as resins and gums in old xylem, they lose it through falling leaves, or they just excrete it directly into the surrounding soil. All right, with a firm grasp on the rules of life, let's zoom out to the broader universe in Section 4, Physics, Phenomena, and Currents. Units 3 and 4 do an amazing job of distilling deeply complex natural phenomena into understandable rules. You'll master how spherical mirrors and lenses actually bend light through reflection and refraction, and then apply that exact math to correct human vision defects. You'll get to marvel at the stunning dispersion of colors scattering through a prism. Then, the focus shifts to the invisible forces powering our homes. You'll decode Ohm's law to see exactly how power, voltage, and current relate to each other, and you'll use Fleming's left-hand rule to literally visualize the invisible forces at play in a magnetic field. Finally, let's tie all these localized theories together, the chemistry, the biology, the physics, and connect them to our broader environment in Section 5, Ecology and Practical Science. Unit V really pushes us to look outward. It challenges us to take all this scientific knowledge and actually apply it to understand ecosystems and solve real, pressing environmental problems. We're using our chemistry to understand ozone depletion and our biology to tackle the massive issue of managing biodegradable versus non-biodegradable waste. This is quite literally science applied to human survival. But like we talked about at the very beginning, science is fundamentally an active pursuit. The curriculum mandates these specific practical experiments to make sure you aren't just memorizing facts, but you're physically proving the concepts. You're literally going to find the pH of lemon juice to see acids in action. You'll apply heat to ferrous sulfate to witness a decomposition reaction firsthand. You're going to plot a graph of voltage versus current to prove Ohm's law with your very own hands. You'll trace the physical path of light through a glass slab and peer through a microscope to witness binary fission in an amoeba. These practicals are what lock the theory into reality. And just like that, our structured journey comes to a close. We've gone all the way from microscopic chemical bonds to massive global ecosystems. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. From the acids working away in your stomach right this second to the alternating current running through the walls around you, you now hold the blueprint to understand it all. So the only question left is, which part of your world will your curiosity drive you to decode first?